This is a section of dry stone dyke on the Lainshaw estate, not far from Sturton in East Ayrshire. At first sight it looks as though to be a typical dyke. When you look closely, one, the stones are rather uniform, and secondly, they're held together by cement. This is a good example of, at the times when there was unemployment was high, such as after the First World War, during the Depression, when there were no jobs, then men and women could find no employment, no welfare state, that therefore basically would starve. Some of the landowners took on and employed people in projects to improve their estates. So here we have this wall, extensive section of wall, which divided off the fields where the stock were from the woodlands. Now the people who were employing often didn't have the skills. Dry stone dyking is quite a task, plus you need specific sizes of stones. So instead they used cement. That proved very successful. These walls are still standing after all this time. One of the main problems is that when the cement wall does fall for any reason, such as over here there's a tree base, the roots seem to have pushed their way under the wall and it's fallen. So it falls in chunks and sections and it's hard to repair. So the wall runs down in the distance, down to the Annick water. This area here was once known as Strat Annick, a rather nice name that's dropped out of use. You also had projects taking place back in the 18th century, after the various wars, the conflicts, where the soldiers would come back and there would be no work for them. And they were employed particularly on drainage schemes. So Ayrshire lost a lot of its lochs in those days when the lochs were no longer so important for the watermills. Watermills were fewer and larger. So the lochs were drained to provide more pasture, and these unemployed people were used. Also a lot of field drainage took place as well. Plus there's also the enclosures. At one time there were very few hedges, fences and walls. Animals had to be tethered rather than being able to be kept within the bounds of a field.